What's up, y'all? I am Catherine. Welcome back to my channel. I am the owner of Evergreen Era Film and Photo. If you haven't been here before, I help couples plan elopement days that are adventurous and true to who you are for those couples who don't love the idea of a big, stressful, traditional wedding with a lot of expectations. Doesn't sound so great for everybody. So today I want to talk to you about how to plan a national park wedding. National parks! As I'm sure you know, if you're here, you're probably a more outdoorsy style person who loves the idea of having a wedding in a beautiful, majestic location. And so, you know, we have tons of gorgeous national parks in our country. Yes, you can get married in a national park. So I'm gonna give you some tips on how to do that in the video. Like and subscribe if you want more good elopement planning content. Leave a comment below if you have any leftover questions at the end of this. I'm happy to answer those as best I can. Otherwise, let's dive in. Let's start with some of my favorite national park locations. There are actually 69 national parks in the US, so there are obviously a lot of places to choose from if you're wanting to plan a national park elopement. So I'm gonna list a few of my favorites to maybe help you narrow it down. Some of my top favorite national parks are the Redwoods National Park and National Forest. Those two are connected in California. Mount Rainier National Park in Washington State. Crater Lake National Park in Oregon, Shenandoah National Park in Virginia, and Acadia National Park in Maine. Of course, you don't have to choose any of these national parks, but these are some of my favorites that I love for elopement days particularly. So to help you narrow down which national park is a good fit for you, the first thing you're going to want to do is to consider what scenery you want for your day. Think about, you know, the things you want to see, the way you want to feel, and narrow down if you want to go somewhere that you've been before or somewhere that's totally new to the both of you. Do you want red rock canyons? Do you want big snow-capped mountains? Do you want wildflowers? Narrowing down those things will of course help you narrow down which national parks would be a good fit for you. Of course, what comes with that is taking the seasons into account. So depending on what national park you choose, there are going to be seasons that change the scenery in that national park. Make sure that you're picking the right season for that location that's going to give you the scenery and the vibes and the experience that you want to have. For example, some locations have more rainy seasons, so you're more likely to run into a bit of wet happening. That's a weird way to say that, but that's what I did. And there's some seasons that are going to be extremely snowy. They might even cut off a lot of access to parks, so you will have limited access, but if you want a snowy elopement, heck yeah, go for it. And then there's some seasons that might be just like really hot in the desert. You might just be like boiling if you're choosing a desert location in the middle of summer. So you really want to take into account your location and the time of year, the season, when it comes to picking your national park and the date. Another big thing to consider is to research the park's popularity in certain months. So there are some parks who are not actually visited very much. They're not as popular as other locations, and there are some that are incredibly popular and really busy in their prime season. And that's gonna differ between what parks you choose. So do that research. You will likely wanna choose a location and a time of year that has a bit less people. It's gonna help with not waiting in line to even get into the parks, potentially having to reserve a permit to get into the park, which is a new thing happening since COVID times. And you'll also probably just want a bit more privacy and not feel like you're in an amusement park for your elopement. National parks just can get really busy, so that's just part of a national park elopement. So try and find a time that feels good for you based upon popularity of people visiting. Each park has a specific permitting system for weddings and for your photographer or videographer that you are going to want to learn about as you're choosing your park. So some have very strict requirements and some don't have barely any at all. You might even choose your park based on this if you don't want to have to deal with any serious permitting issues. So you will want to definitely check that out on their websites. Your photographer or your videographer should also be able to help you with this if they help with planning. And of course, you will want to make some lodging decisions early on in that planning process. Usually the inns in the park, all the places to stay nearby, the campgrounds, some Airbnbs and things, all the rentals, they can book out really far in advance. To summarize, I obviously love national park elopements. They are some of the most beautiful places in the country, and I think getting married in Mother Nature is the best backdrop and the best venue that you could get. This isn't a reason to elope in a national park, but it is a lot less expensive than a big traditional wedding venue. But that has some pros and cons, so you need to be prepared for what an outdoor adventure elopement is like. If you're going to choose a national park wedding, it's not going to be like having your own private space like it would be if you booked an actual hotel, church, or anything like that. It is going to be shared with other people who are visiting. It is going to be at the elements of all the weather. There might not be bathrooms provided. The shuttling and parking is going to be different. So there are some aspects to really consider to have this type of day. But if you're that kind of person, that kind of couple, then I think it's totally worth it. It's a really special experience. Of course, you're really going to want to follow those leave no trace practices, follow any rules and regulations that the park have around weddings, because we want to respect the land and take care of it for future generations to come. And then my last little bonus tip is to think outside the box. If you are wanting to have an elopement outdoors, maybe consider a location that is in more of like a national forest or BLM land. You can still have really beautiful locations that are outdoors that aren't restricted to a national park. There are other places to get married that tend to have less popularity, smaller crowds and things than national parks typically do. Heck yeah, we did it. I hope this helps you if you're thinking about having a national park wedding and you weren't sure how to go about that or if that's the right fit for you. I hope y'all have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment. It really helps me get all this good stuff and info out to all of you. Have a good one. National parks. Didn't know I was a singer too. And a photographer. And a videographer. And a planner. And a business owner. Okay.